Hello, everybody. My name is Snehar Shah. I'm part of a business and trading platform which is called Obizz. With the pandemic, we've had an offshoot which has been created by like-minded people. It's called COVID Kenya. COVID Kenya has three pillars that we're focusing on. One is on health, where we want to share verified information on health relating to the pandemic. Second is on welfare. Many of us have been impacted not only physically but mentally as well, and there's a wealth of resources that we're sharing on welfare. And the third is an economic pillar. And as we know, with the impact of the pandemic, hopefully with the vaccine, the pandemic should be over sometime soon, but the impact on business is likely to be longer and sustained. So we're trying to share our wisdom and knowledge on the economic pillar as well. And with that, today we launch what is called the Obizz Podcast Series, which is a short snippets of podcasts on different topics where we're bringing on board experienced people to again share their knowledge. And today I'm very glad as a curtain raiser to invite a serial entrepreneur in Kenya. His name is Darshan Chandaria. So welcome to Darshan. Thank you for making the time. We did a survey where we asked people what impact they were feeling on business due to the pandemic, what support they would require. And one thing that came out overwhelmingly is as much as the pandemic has brought challenges, it's getting people to think differently, to think diversifying, and they're interested in looking at new business opportunities. Darshan is somebody that has experience there, and we really look forward to this podcast, Darshan, for you to share your experiences on how to go about looking at new business opportunities and how people can learn from your experiences. So maybe to start off, Darshan, can you just give an introduction of your experiences? I know you come from the traditional family business background, which you've taken it to different heights, but you're also looking at diversifying on new ventures, and you have experience there, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But maybe take us through your business journey so far, Darshan.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks, Neha. It's great to be here. So as Neha said, my name is Darshan Chandaria, the Group CEO at Chandaria Group and Chandaria Industries. And it's been, very, very interesting times over the last few months. I think there's a lot to talk about. But basically, I'm third generation of a family business. As Neha said, I come from a family business that set its foundations in Kenya in the 60s. Our core business is tissue hygiene and liquid manufacturing. We're present across multiple African countries, outside Africa as well. We're also into various other sectors such as insurance, banking, real estate, venture capital activities, gold mining, renewable energy. And it's been very interesting to just look at, how economies of different countries are changing, over this period of time. The business is run by my father, my brother, and myself. We're present in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, India, the UAE, and the UK.
Wow.
And we'll talk a little bit more about what those opportunities look like.
Right. So maybe before we get into the new business side, as soon as the pandemic started, we saw, and going a bit off tangent, we saw an episode where there was a spike in demand for certain commodities, and one that I think you're quite close to, which is toilet paper.
Yes.
Did you actually see that spike, and how did you manage that spike?
So unfortunately, the spike was nothing like it was in Australia or the UK.
Right. Kenyans are more savvy.
I really wish it was something like that, right? But I think it was just, I think the first case was announced on 11th March. And a few days after that, it was, a few days of bulk buying, panic buying. People thought there was a lockdown coming, and therefore they wanted to be well equipped at home. And I think everything moved. It wasn't just, for example, our products, toilet tissue, hygiene products. A lot of the food products people were stocking up on. There was queues at major supermarkets, right across. But obviously, I think it was just that perception, the fear factor of are we going to be stuck at home, as we have been, seeing on TV in various other countries, especially the developed world. So if the developed world was experiencing this crazy demand, people thought, okay, we better, equip ourselves accordingly.
Great. So just looking at new businesses, I mean, you're of course expanding your traditional business lines in terms of, say, related products in FMCG. Also, diversifying geographically, but also we've seen you being a big risk taker and getting into new ventures as well. So, how do you look at things? Do you look at both sides very separately, or do you have sort of an overriding strategy behind that?
Sure. No, it's a great question. I think as entrepreneurs generally are, you want to do many things. You see opportunities in a lot of places. You've got to then decide how much you're going to do on your own, where you're going to collaborate. And I think the whole venture capital thesis from Chandaria Group's perspective and how Chandaria Capital was born was to say there's great entrepreneurs out there who are going to do things, going to run businesses much better than we will ever run businesses. So why don't we collaborate with them? And what are we looking for in ventures where we don't go in ourselves, where management isn't with us, but let's say we'll take a board seat? We will look for entrepreneurs who have the capability to scale a business to new heights, whether sort of, it's in country, geographically, across products or services. We will look for impact. Impact is very important to us. So are you creating jobs? Are you, preserving the environment? Are you working with marginalized groups? What is it that you're doing? And, the impact is not going to be only financial. It's got to be social. It's got to really touch the communities, really touch, for example, Kenya, Africa at large. So in a summary, effectively, Chandaria Industries and a little bit of real estate was being done before I joined in 2009. And, when I came in, I had seen opportunities in a number of new sectors. So we continued to expand Chandaria Industries, but we then so the first, I think, major expansion came with Chandaria Properties. We got more into the real estate space with a very clear vision. We looked at capital appreciation, rental yields, as a percentage of what our capital earn us elsewhere.
Okay.
And then came Chandaria Capital, where we said, okay, where we're not going to run businesses ourselves, we're going to look at investing in other businesses with great entrepreneurs.
Was there a sort of seed capital that you put aside to start Chandaria Capital?
Yes. So actually, the initial amounts of money were my own personal savings. So I wanted to prove to the family, and we also have some independent directors that sit on our board, to prove to them that, look, this is something that can work. There is an opportunity here, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is.
And Darshan, there are folks out there who are willing to look at venture capital. What sort of amount would you say, a range that people should think about to put aside to get into this space?
So typically, venture capital is structured in a pretty clear way. There's different stages at which one can come into a business. So you have the initial, what we call the angel or seed capital in a business. You often have bridge rounds of finance before you lead into a Series A, B, C, etc. What we've seen a lot of people do is put small amounts of money, anything from $10,000 or $1 million shillings to about $5 million to $50,000, and that's where we started as well. Now we play a little further down. We will look at Series A rounds where we would put in $500,000 to $1 million, or 50 to 100 million shillings. We would also look at more mature businesses, that are raising Series B rounds. But I think typically, as a starting point, a lot can be done in Kenya with even just 500,000 to $1 million shillings. There are great businesses out there that you can get into.
So Chandaria Capital has been going on for close to 10 years?
So 3.
3 years. So it's very young.
Yes, very new.
And any successes or failures you can talk about?
So I think one of the things you need to understand is you can't just put money into a business at times and then just wait 2, 3, 5 years to get your returns.
Right.
There are some great entrepreneurs out there who just need money. But I mean, if you really want to understand how the space, how the sector works, how businesses mature, what their needs are really as they start up, as they grow, you've got to be a little closer to the business. So I like to play, for example, more of a mentorship role. We now have 2 investment bankers, a chartered accountant on the team. The group's shared resources, in terms of finance, sales, HR, IT, supply chain. Those sort of shared functions support all our group companies. We have 14 portfolio companies now.
Right. Any specific successes or failures you can talk about?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So luckily, no failures yet. Nothing that's gone south yet. But I think we've already had tremendous success with a company called SocoWatch, which is a tech-enabled FMCG distribution platform. We invested in that business in 2016. Had a partial exit last year, a very good multiple. We continue to have a large stake in that business. And I think it's now in 5 African countries, started in Kenya, with a turnover of over $3 million a month. It's been very successful.
And some of these new ventures, you see a lot of young blood coming in. Some of them have great ideas, but maybe they lack experience. I mean, what do you look for in an entrepreneur, and what does it take for you to be convinced?
Sure. So we always say, look, it's not just a great idea, right? You've got to be able to execute. You've got to be committed. But I think in these times and this sort of modern world, there's a lot more to it, right? You've got to be good at capital raising. You've got to have networks where you can capital raise, and those networks sometimes need to be global. Because Kenya, I still think hasn't gotten the appetite yet to write large tickets towards venture capital businesses, because they're high risk. They're high risk, high reward, but you can quite easily lose all your money, and we've seen a number of these cases over the years. So we were looking obviously for entrepreneurs who understand what they're doing. They've got to be committed. They've got to have a clear vision, a clear path to innovation. They've got to demonstrate to us how their product or service is unique, how it's different, how it's either doing something that doesn't exist in the market, or how it's going to disrupt the existing demand. But it's not just commitment, vision, execution, and innovation. I think now it is more about, are you networking? Are you visible? Are you able to attract the right kind of money? Because yes, there's a lot of money out there, but are you able to attract money that comes with board guidance, that comes with people who've done it in the past? And I think this is very important. I think this is why a lot of people look to me and Chandaria Capital to say, you guys are in multiple sectors. You've walked this journey before. In fact, money is maybe number 3 on our priority list. But what we're really looking for is, how did you grow the business? How did you recruit? How did you retain good people? How did you overcome various obstacles, economic, political, etc.
Wow. I'm picking up a lot of tips here, Darshan, and thank you for being so open. In terms of capital, if there is scope for pulling in capital from different sources, different people who might want to come together, do you think there is scope for that? Or are you more sort of closed in terms of doing the investments the way you want to do it, and maybe there's competition for people looking for capital? I mean, what is your view in terms of the potential to pull in capital?
Sure. So I think this is one industry where collaboration is a big benefit, a big positive. It's not like a conventional business where you're competing with others. Here, for example, you need to co-invest. You need to bring in different skill sets. So many times we've seen us investing with sort of other local investors or international investors where we bring in a different skill set. The potential is there. What we've done so far, so we can shape the DNA of Chandaria Capital the way we would like to, and really sort of create a benchmark for people to understand that a business in this sector can be built and built well, is we've created co-investment opportunities. So we say, okay, we're going into a round of $1 million. We will, for example, commit $250,000. So there's space for $750,000. Here's all our due diligence. We've checked off, everything an investor would want to check off: legal, financial. We've done the background checks, and we're happy to share that due diligence with you. This is why we like the opportunity, and you can come in and co-invest with us. And I think what a lot of the international funds are looking for is, yes, do we have an anchor local fund that's going, and if they believe in the opportunity, there's no reason why we shouldn't be there.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Any last message you want to give the listeners and the members of Obizz? Sure. Anything that you've learned from the past that you want to apply, especially with the changing world that has brought about because of the pandemic? Yeah,
sure. I think we've really seen internally, and I've really been pushing the family, the directors and everybody internally to say, let's be positive. If you're positive, the opportunities are around you. But if you say, look, I'm stuck in this gloomy world, things are going wrong, there's a lot of negativity around me, you will basically just create blinkers to the opportunities around you. There are plenty, we have seen them. And I always say this, success is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. So you can never arrive at success. There's always the next step you need to take, whether it's, for professional, personal development, but there's always a next step you can take in the success journey.
Fantastic, Darshan. Thank you very much for your time, and no doubt we'll do another one with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sneha. Thank you.